Hello, Internet. Mike Byrne here from MMOBomb.com, bringing you another episode here of MMO Thoughts, and this one is a little thought-provoking. Let's do a little thought experiment and see where everybody lands on this. So, a while back, if you are a longtime follower of MMO Bomb, watch the Free-to-Play Cast, our weekly podcast, whether that's live or on YouTube, you'll know that I boycotted Tryon Worlds personally back in the day. Now, I still covered it for MMO Bomb because my personal boycotts and my professional work on the site are totally different and have to be segregated, but I did not play any of their games, and at the time, I was very much a Rift player. And this was back when ArcAge first came out to the Western audience, and due to their Founders Pack snafus, the way they were treating their customers, I decided I was not going to play any Tryon Worlds games, and that included Rift at the time. So I stopped playing, and that boycott lasted, I think, about a year and a half-ish, somewhere around there, until enough ArcAge players had reported back to me that, okay, we feel like they have made amends. And there was still that ongoing lawsuit, which just recently got settled under Gamigo and everything, but most of them felt like they could move past the way they were treated, and so I moved past the way they were treated. So it was a game I didn't even play, but because the company behaved in a certain way, I boycotted their products. Vote with your wallet, right? We hear that all the time, and many of you have done that on a number of different games in the past as well. Now we get to Genshin Impact, and I'm not going to espouse my love for the game itself on this show and rehash all of that. Go watch last week's Free-to-Play Cast. I spoke very highly of the game. I did in closed beta. I continue to this day. The game itself is a fantastic game. I hate its gacha mechanics, but that's not what we're going to talk about here. They do prey on people that have more addictive personalities than I, that maybe would accidentally roll into big bank spends that they weren't necessarily planning on spending, since you do have the whole gacha gambling pool system that 99 times out of 100 results in nothing but crap that you're going to dismantle to use and upgrade other weapons anyway. But again, that's not even what we're talking about here today. I've been working on this episode for probably about a day and a half now, compiling a lot of sources and some information that I'm going to share with you and pose the question to you, ethically, should you play Genshin Impact? And why am I asking that? Well, let's start with some of the more recent, over the last 24 to 48 hours, developments that people are noticing inside the game. And let's kick it off with YouTuber Kazuma Hashimoto, who did tweet about not playing the game anymore due to the chat filters in Genshin Impact censoring certain words. And I don't think that's really news to anybody that a chat filter would censor certain words. But in this case, the words seem to be anything related to items that the current leadership regime in China would not like. Terms like Hong Kong, Taiwan, Taiwan being a country, being another one. And these are all hot button issues politically in that side of the world. China's regime right now obviously wants the One China policy, and politically, that could be an entire hour-long episode of why these terms might be censored. But if you're not aware, you can refer to some sources. I'll put some sources down below kind of explaining the whole situation between China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and why these words might be censored. And it's easy to look at this and say, well, MiHoYo is caught in the middle, right? Being a Chinese company, developing games, if they want to operate in China and work in China, they are going to have to abide by some Chinese laws, whether or not they, as individuals or collectively as a company, agree with those laws. So, in their chat filter, words like Taiwan and Hong Kong were censored and do come up censored. And I'll link to a video that I'm kind of showing here, too, that was posted by Kazuma Hashimoto about this exact topic, showing these words not being able to be used in chat. Tibet, another one. So China's got these lists of words that need to be on a ban list. MiHoYo abides by the laws, makes them, filter out into asterisks. But it doesn't just stop there. In other aspects of entertainment, gaming, and in Genshin Impact in particular, this has been a hot button issue for a while. We had a virtual YouTuber not long ago, last month in fact, named Kiru Coco, banned from their HoloLive services, their HoloLive production services, after just chatting with another content producer about their performance metrics live on channel, and mentioning the number of viewers or percentage of viewers from the country of Taiwan. Well, HoloLive banned them, gave them a suspension actually, for a little while. And again, some of this is translated, but I'm even seeing that the word Kiryu Koko is prohibited in Genshin. And again, that is kind of, I'm at the mercy of translation, and I don't speak any type of Chinese or anything like that. So take that for what it's worth. But there's a lot of hot button here for all of these different companies. They want to be able to operate in China, but then you have to play by the rules that go with this type of operation, which includes censorship. It's basically what it is. Now, whether this impacts you personally is going to depend on a lot of things, right? Probably your location in the world, the way you feel about China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong, yourself, if you have any feelings on them at all. And if you don't, your feelings just generally on free discourse being discussed and being censored. You might have a strong gut reaction to that as well. And we have reports of this type of censorship basically dating back to the game's launch, not only in chat, but in other ways as well. SRX Alpha 1 Black Lives Matter on Twitter also took to posting some screenshots showing somebody on the PS4 version of the game naming their character Taiwan is a country, and then flat out receiving a ban. And I will show you those here as well. So this extends not just to chat, but to other aspects of the game. Now, I also saw an interesting post on Reddit, and in looking at Massively OP's article on this exact topic when they put it up this morning, since I was already working on this last night, I wanted to see what their take on it was. I saw a commenter, Malcolm Swoboda, on Massively's site kind of post this discussion that was on Reddit that I did love and enjoyed reading, the back and forth that was going on, showing that, yeah, MiHoYo may be censoring these things, but if you take a look at some of their finer story elements in the game, you kind of get the idea that maybe there's a subtle rebellion or in the way that they depict some of these city-states, some of the storylines, some of the main important story beats too. So obviously, MiHoYo is not really going to comment about something like that, whether it was intentional or just, accidental and fortuitous. But you got to feel for MiHoYo being caught in the middle here. They don't really have much that they can do unless they just don't want to operate anymore being a Chinese company. And that's where this gets a little sticky for me and where I want to know your thoughts. So on my side of this, when you look at it and you say, okay, there are human rights violations going on, there's censorship going on, you may feel one way about Hong Kong or the country of Taiwan or China's views on those things. You might have a side in that race already in your heart where you want to go, and that might be the trigger point that, hey, you know what, I can't support this game. I appreciate that the developers might be stuck in the middle here, but unfortunately for them, I can't support the game. Maybe that's your view. I also have the other side of this where it's, I don't intend to spend money in it. I don't care about the gacha pools. Yeah, I know there's characters in there that the game teases you with and lets you mess around with a little bit at certain story beats in your party that can only be obtained through the gacha pools. But I'm sorry. I like the game, but not enough to be sitting there gambling money trying to get these characters and instead getting ass loads of weapons I'm just going to dismantle anyway. So, fine. Is it still supporting the game if I play it but don't financially put any money into it? Maybe that's your view, and you have this. Maybe you don't. This doesn't impact you at all, and you don't have any particular qualms about what's going on because it doesn't impact you. That's also a fair response to the situation. Somebody might not agree with you, but it's a fair response. It doesn't impact you, and the subject of censorship, banning, and getting rid of free discourse, it doesn't bother you because it's not your country, it's not your game sphere, it's, a personal opinion. And that's kind of where we get down to. So I'd like to ask you, ethically, for you, knowing that it might be different than the person next to you, your decision, should you play Genshin Impact? With all of this going on, with the gambling mechanics that are in it, but the overall shell of a really solid, interesting, free-to-play game, should you play it? A lot of people are deciding no. Now, will it be enough to cause change? Probably not. In an ideal world, yes, it would, but realistically, it probably won't be. If everybody stopped supporting Genshin Impact in any way, shape, or form, then MiHoYo itself would be in trouble, but it would be unlikely to cause any real policy change from China. It's just realistic that it probably wouldn't. But does it start to set the tone for Chinese leadership that, hey, products that have to abide by these laws in your country aren't going to be received financially well outside of China anymore? It's got to start somewhere, right? So maybe you take that view. So I want to know, are you going to play Genshin Impact knowing that this type of stuff is going on? And I'm going to be honest, I'm still undecided at the moment. I don't like the idea of free discourse being filtered out or banned, or having players banned because of it. Whether politically I really am qualified to know enough on the topic of Hong Kong, Taiwan, and China to make a personal call on that, I don't know. But I do know that some atrocities have been committed and some banning and some silencing of ideas, and I don't like that in general. And please don't think this is some moral high horse because I'm in the United States. We are guilty of just as much bad in the world as every other country. And maybe that brings you to the point of, hey, you can't really support capitalism in any real way while being morally and ethically clean, because every country does something that it's probably not proud of at some point. And then you find a product from that country you like. So it's a really messy situation that I never thought I'd talk about in the free-to-play gaming world, but I'm glad we get to talk about. That's the point here on MMO Thoughts. I want to know what you think while I still have to make up my mind. Until next time, gang, I'm Mike Byrne saying stay safe, and we'll see you on the servers.